and welcome once again to the Dwarven Tavern. I am your host, Lyric, once again bringing you another beginner's video. And this time, it is about con-going. And what I mean by that is going to conventions, going to gaming conventions, anime conventions, whatever conventions you want to go to. If you've never been before, I'm here to tell you how to make the best of the experience, how to best prepare and what to expect. Well, first off, let's talk about which con to go to. Well, if you want to start small, I would suggest looking into cons around your area. But if you want to start big, then you could go to Comic-Con in San Diego, you could go to Gen Con in Indianapolis, you could go to Dragon Con in Atlanta. These are all huge conventions that are fun-filled with comic stuff and gaming stuff, and I don't know exactly which one's the biggest anime convention in America, but I know that OhioCon is pretty big, so check that out. The only reason I know about that one is because it's in Ohio, and that's where I'm from. So, check those out, and I'm going to help you with preparing for a small con versus a big con. It's pretty much the same, except you have to prepare for a lot more walking with a bigger con, and you have to prepare for a lot more merchandise with a bigger con. So, start with a small one, and then we'll add to it with the bigger con. So, for preparation, when it comes to going to a convention, it starts way early, because with the bigger cons, I know I said I start with the smaller ones, but with bigger cons, they sell out of all sorts of stuff. So if you ever want to go to a convention that is, or rather you want to go as more than just a person going to buy stuff, like if you want to have a booth of your own, or you want to, sell your artwork or your writing, or, even merchandise that you have from another dealer, that's fine, but you have to do that a lot more in advance than if you were to buy, say, just badges. So, we're going to start out with, maybe I'll do another video about what you can do as a person going to a convention as a vendor, rather than just a participant as a con goer. So, this video is focusing mostly on what you do if you just have a badge. So, what is the preparation that is involved? Well, first, you have to actually buy the tickets, rather the badges that allow you to get into the convention. And those badges can be anywhere from one day to the full weekend. And with Gen Con, specifically, because that's going on right now, the badges can be for 4-day weekends. And they can, have specific badges for if you want to go do certain things later at night, or if you want to go to, if you want to sell certain things, blah, blah, blah. It basically, if you are a con goer, you can buy just Saturday, just Sunday, or the whole weekend. It really just depends on what you yourself wants, and depending on what time of the year you buy them, you can also get them cheaper or more expensive, depending on how long you wait until it gets to Gen Con. I know that if you buy con badges at Gen Con, it'll be more expensive than if you had bought them earlier on. So just keep that in mind. If you did that this year, maybe next year, you'll know what to do. So another thing to prepare is make sure that you have enough money, obviously. Get a hotel. If you're coming in from far away, they do tend to sell out really quickly with the hotels for Gen Con, but with smaller conventions, they do have hotels nearby, and maybe even if it's a really small convention, you can get a hotel in the same hotel as the convention, which I have done before. So it really just depends on which con you're going to, and if you want to start small, you'll probably be more likely to find a hotel readily available for con goers like yourself, for staying overnight. Also transportation, money for all that stuff. And what I like to do is I like to meal prep also, so that I don't have to buy at the overpriced areas around them because I know a convention's going on. So let's boost our prices up just a tiny bit just so we can get, more revenue. Which is fine. There's nothing against that, but I like to avoid that entirely by making sandwiches and keeping it in a cooler in the car while I go to the con. So, there's something else for you to do. But if you are going to a smaller con, perhaps you might need to go that far I still would, because it is a money saver, and you never know when you might need to provide for more than just yourself. Maybe you make friends, maybe you go to one of the speed dating events and you end up, finding the love of your life, which I guarantee has happened before. And you want to provide a banquet of sandwiches and chips for your lovely lady or sir, or whatever you'd like to dub yourself, then you can, provide where needed. Or in my case, I run into a bunch of friends all the time who are like, let's go get something to eat. And I'll be like, wait, I have provided food. Let me cook for you. And then let me cook for you, I mean, like, let me have cooked for you. Or something like that. So you can even just make food in preparation to go. And you can either keep that in the car, keep that in a hotel room, just so that you can have something to go off of and that you know that you can go back to get. Because if you have a badge for a con, you can go in and out as you please, as long as the exhibit hall is open. So there's another tip. Another thing that you want to do as it gets closer, you want to make sure that you have appropriate clothing and that you have appropriate hygiene. Because one of the biggest problems, small or big, the conventions always tend to be a little stanky. And that's because people tend to get too excited and forget to bathe. And even worse, they get excited in that moment, that morning, like, oh my god, we're going to a convention! And they forget deodorant. So, if you or a loved one has forgotten deodorant, make sure that you can at least have an extra one in your bag, an extra stick of deodorant, just so that you can look out for the fellow gamer or look out for the fellow anime lover, just to make sure that everyone smells nice and tidy when they go to the convention. So, make sure that you have baths appropriate, or at least bathe once that weekend. It would be, everyone around you will appreciate it. And deodorant, of course. And I always carry around a stick of gum or a packet of gum just to make sure that, because I work the convention, I have to do interviews and game reviews and stuff while I'm there, so I make sure that my breath smells just as clean as my armpits. So, which probably isn't a very good analogy now that I think about it. But what I'm saying is make sure that you have the appropriate hygiene. And another thing to keep that in mind while we're on the topic of water, make sure that you keep yourself hydrated, because those con floors get really super hot, even the tiny ones. It's a bunch of nerds cramped into one corridor, and they're all talking and getting hyped about all their similar interests. It's gonna get hot. So you're going to make sure that even though you're sweating a lot and you cover that up with a nice smell of Hawaiian breeze or something, you also want to make sure that you have a water bottle always handy, because it does get a little dehydration just comes at you, and it comes quickly and like a bad lover. And you have to make sure that you're always prepared. So have a water bottle with you, or even some sort of liquid beverage, just to make sure that you keep yourself hydrated and you keep yourself able to continue con going, because you did not plan this weekend to be ended abruptly by fainting on the con floor because you're dehydrated. So make sure you have a water bottle always at hand so that never happens. And as I mentioned before, everyone expects this. I mean, everyone knows that when you go to a convention, small or big, you're going to do a lot of walking. More appropriately, you're going to do a lot of walking with a bigger convention. I'm getting excited talking about this and my tongue's all twisted. So make sure you always have a good pair of shoes. I tend to forget that fact, and sometimes I never have appropriate shoes waiting for me. So I have gone out and bought some shoes the day of going to the convention. So always make sure that you have a good pair of walking shoes, a good pair of, you can have a good pair of running shoes, a good pair of tennis shoes, but make sure you always have a good pair of walking shoes for con going, because they have been worn out. The heels have been desolated by walking at a convention, especially a bigger one. So keep that in mind. If you have to go out and buy a pair of shoes, buy a new pair of shoes just for con going, do it, because it'll be worth it. Your feet will ache. Even with a new pair of shoes, even with new socks, your feet will be sore afterwards, and you just got to prepare for that and make sure that it's not as bad as it can be by not having proper shoes. So prepare the best way you can, and because you have to prepare for the worst and expect the best. So make sure that you have good shoes, because that is just as important as everything else I've mentioned thus far. So Another thing that you will want if you're going to, you know, purchase stuff is that you want to have a bag. Make sure that you have some sort of con-going bag, something to hold your merchandise, something to hold your review material. You don't want to carry around a giant stack of books and then not have room for autographs or for food even. So please make sure that you have a bag that you can maybe wrap around your shoulder or carry like a purse or even a backpack, which I have seen plenty of times around the con. So please bring a bag too, and there are buttons and stuff, stickers and stuff that you can latch onto that bag and, you know, make it your own so that you know what it is when you set it down on the floor and you go play cards somewhere else, you know that that's your bag. So it's also a way of identification and a way to keep your merchandise out and about and show everyone that, you know, you like certain things. And that's a great way to make friends, is, you know, having stickers and buttons and stuff. And also, a lot of companies like to distribute free buttons for advertising, and you always want a place to put that aside from on your body. So put it on your bag, and then you can carry your bag around all con, and suddenly you've become walking advertisement for these small companies. And I mean, that's kind of a win-win for everybody, methinks. So that's pretty much like what you can do physically, like what you can do with your clothing and stuff. Oh, by the way, please wear new clothing, or at least washed clothing, because even though you bathe regularly and wear deodorant and brush your teeth and comb your hair and everything, if your clothes stink, your clothes stink, and they'll need to be changed on a regular basis. So please keep that in mind. At least wash them while you're there overnight. Moving on from the physical appearance of the gamer, you could also, in preparation, plan out what you want to go see. There are tons of things at a convention, like panels, the exhibit hall, in Gen Con, it's like the card stacking competition and minifigures to be painted and all sorts of events that I can't even name off the top of my head that are always going on in the convention. There's even the dance party at night or raves to go to, and sometimes there's a party in the plaza that you want to go to, and you want to make sure that you can cover all of these things and not miss out. So usually at conventions, especially Gen Con, I keep going back to that one because it is going on right now, they have planning books. They have a timeline for the convention. There's stuff going on 24/7 when it comes to Gen Con. And with smaller cons, it might not be that as integrated. It might not be, they might start at 7 and end at 7 or something like that, something very similar. So even those small cons, they have a timeline which shows all of the panels, it shows all of the costume contests, all of the guest speakers, all of the autographs that can be gotten. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm very excited because I get to go to Gen Con this weekend. And you can plan it all out and, you know, keep a log, and if you have a bag, you can place it right in that bag so you can keep it for safekeeping. You know, make a timeline on your phone, make an alarm for whenever you want to go see something. If you think like this voice actor is going to speak about being this character, or this book writer is going to be doing an autograph signing over here, or you know for a fact that they're going to be doing the balloon animals, or this band is playing, like it always says that in like either a booklet that's there or on the website, or even you can get it from just listening around, going to these certain places. They always have pamphlets, or not pamphlets, but posters posted outside of the hall, the exhibit halls, saying when this happens and when who's coming to speak and when who's doing what. And of course, they always have the exhibit hall where, you know, you can go and mingle with all of these geeks. And of course, they also have another hallway for the entire game system where you want to sit down and game these games that are being available for the first time in Gen Con, or, you know, fun favorites, family favorites. They can go sit down and play with other wonderful nerds that are also in love with these particular games. So make sure that you plan it out. But at the same time, you can also go with the flow. Maybe you hear about something that you didn't see on the schedule, or maybe there's a specific person there that you want to see that's, you know, YouTube famous but not really mentioned at the Gen Con pamphlet. So always go with the flow. Always make sure that, you know, when you do plan these out, that you still have the free time to enjoy the con as its own. You have plenty of time to buy the merchandise you want, you have plenty of time to try on corsets or wigs, and you have plenty of time to talk with other fans of certain things, and you have plenty of time to just laze about and play Magic in the hallway. So just make sure that you always have time to yourself, even if you have things planned out to go to, so that you can truly get the utmost con experience that you can. And lastly, and certainly the biggest, I think, is make sure to use your manners, because a rude con goer gives all con goers a bad impression and a bad look. So be polite, be considerate, be thoughtful, and always use your manners. Say please and thank you, and do what you can to help another con-goer out. If you see that they're carrying too many books, or if you see that their stuff is in the middle of the hallway and they just, they just blatantly forgot, because that has happened too. It's no one's fault, and you can just help them push it to the side, or you can help them carry their books to their car, or even better, you can sit down with a lonely gamer who's eating by themselves, or, someone who got separated from the pack. You can help them out find the person, especially tiny gamers, because that has happened too. Unfortunately, these cons can be huge, overstimulated places for the tiny gamers and the tiny nerds, and they might get separated from their pack. So please be considerate and help them to their herd, if you will. I like to call gamers clots when they're in the hallway. They're giant clots, and they like to form just like blood vessels. So please be considerate, please be kind, please be courteous, and always keep the other gamer in mind, just so that everyone can have a great con experience. And that is the end of my rant. I hope this helps you out a lot if you are going to Gen Con for the first time, and I also hope this helps you out if you've gone to Gen Con for the 100th time. I really do like going to conventions, and I know that this experience can be a little overwhelming and a little stressful, so please just keep it a fun experience. And if you have any questions or anything, please comment below. I'm always here to help you, and I will be there at Gen Con on Saturday and Sunday, so please look for me. I will be wearing this shirt, and I won't have this hair, I'll have purple hair. So please look for me, please say hi, please give me a shout out, and maybe I can give you some photos and we can post it on the Dwarven Tavern, which is www.dwarventavern.net. It's our website. So please check us out there. If you have any comments, do so below. Getting tongue-tied because I'm getting all hyped for this convention. And I have been Lyric, and on behalf of the entire cast and crew, half of which are at Gen Con right now, we wish for you to want for nothing but adventure, and at first I feared it, then I charged. Thank you guys for always watching, and we'll see you next time.